I worked as a park ranger in Alaska. There were some things living in the vast wilderness. My first summer as a park ranger was in the early 90s at Denali National Park. It was an incredible experience. My partner and I got to see things that are almost impossible to describe, like grizzly bears fishing for salmon and a pod of about 30 beluga whales swimming up the Nenana River. One evening we were sitting outside our cabin near Healy, Alaska, eating Triscuits and cheese while watching the sunset over the Alaska Range. We had just come off shift and were amazed at how beautiful the park is. The next day, though, we had to get back to work. Our first assignment was to hike up the Teclanica River to check on some trail work that needed to be done. My partner and I were concerned about the couple, so we decided to hike down to the old campsite and make sure everything was okay. They were sitting in the car with their heads down. We slowed down and rolled down our windows. I yelled, "Hey, you okay?" The man looked up and screamed at me. He rolled up his window and turned away from me. I could see the woman crying in the passenger seat. We drove past them and parked our car. I said, "Hey, my name is Name. I'm with the Park Service. You need to come back to the station with me," the man asked. "Why?" And I said, "Because your tent was destroyed and you left it like that." I told him about the couple and he said, "Yeah, that couple." The ranger shook his head and said, "No, but I've been thinking about putting up a sign that says, 'Beware of dog.' Maybe that'll help." The incident shook me up so badly that I quit working as a park ranger. I still think about that couple sometimes. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to subscribe for more creepypastas. I'll see you next time. Whatever it was that they saw or experienced in that tent will forever be a mystery to me. But if any of you out there know what happened to them, please tell me in the comments. I would love to know what they saw in that tent. I looked at him for a minute and then I said, "Yeah, maybe it would." They got spooked by something down there, whatever it was. They left in a hurry, forgot their tent fly, and then decided to leave the park altogether. He scratched his head and said, "That's strange. A lot of people get spooked by something down there, whatever it is. But most people leave their stuff behind. It's like they just want to get away from there. Also, you almost hit us with your car." The woman immediately burst into tears and the man stepped in front of her. "We're not doing anything," he said. "Leave us alone." I reached out and grabbed the man's shoulder and tried to lead him away. He shrugged me off like I was a gnat and walked back to his tent. He picked something up and threw it at me. I ducked and the object sailed over my head. I could hear my partner shouting in the trees somewhere nearby. I spun around and stared in the direction of the noise. I couldn't see my partner anywhere. I felt exposed and vulnerable, and I ran as fast as I could to the car. When we got to the campsite, we found the couple's tent. My partner found me by the car screaming into the radio about what had happened. I can't remember if we chased the couple or if they drove off before we got back to the station. All I know is that I was terrified. They had left in such a hurry that they had forgotten their fly. The tent was soaked inside and out. My partner and I didn't stick around long. I didn't go back to that cabin until 2 weeks later. The incident with the couple still unnerved me, but I had to go back to work. When I got to the cabin, I noticed that someone had carved into the wood siding, "Beware of dog." I laughed because I knew who it was. It was my partner playing a prank on me. I wrote back, "Roger that, dog." We left the tent and headed back to the car. My partner and I hiked back down the trail to the Riley Creek Junction. Then we split up to cover more ground. My partner went right and I went left. I hadn't been walking long when I saw them. They were standing by the river, hugging and kissing. I felt awkward intruding on their moment, so I coughed real loud and walked towards them. The hike up the Teclanica is fairly easy. You walk along the river for about 4 miles until you reach the Riley Creek Junction where the trail splits off into the hills. On this particular day, it was hot, humid, and pretty buggy. I told him about the couple and the strange tent. He told me to go back and check on them. So I did. When I got back to the car, both my partner and I felt uneasy about something, but we couldn't put our finger on it. I knocked on the window and the man finally looked up. His eyes were wide and he was breathing hard like he was hyperventilating. I asked him, "Hey, you okay?" He screamed at me, "Get away from me," and sped off down the park road. My partner and I put on our bug nets and started walking up the trail. Neither of us wanted to chase after them, but my supervisor had told me to check on them, so I called it in and said, "We think they may have had an altercation. Their tent was destroyed and the guy just tried to run us off the road." About 20 minutes later, my supervisor returned the call and told me to find the couple and bring them back to the station. About a half-mile from the junction, we came across what appeared to be an abandoned campsite. There were a couple of old tents and an aluminum canoe on the bank. We stopped to take a closer look. I noticed that one of the tents looked familiar. I asked my partner if he recognized it, and he said, "No, but that tent looks familiar." We walked around the site for a few minutes and then continued up the trail. When we reached the Riley Creek Junction, we took a break to eat lunch. As we sat there eating, a young couple came hiking up the trail. We responded with our location and waited for further instructions. As we sat there waiting, the couple we had seen earlier came walking up the trail. They were arguing loudly. When they heard our radio, they changed their tune and asked if we had received a message on the radio. I asked them what they were talking about and they said, "Oh, nothing. Just hiking and enjoying the beautiful surroundings." They joined us for a few minutes and then left again. They asked us if we knew anything about a campsite down the trail. We told them about the tents and the canoe. They thanked us and walked off down the trail. A couple of hours later, we heard the whistle from the emergency locator on our radios. About 10 minutes after they left, the voice on the radio told us to return to our vehicle and wait for further instructions. As we were driving down the park road, we passed the couple's car. I went to check in with my supervisor. My partner and I exchanged uneasy glances as we watched their car disappear around a bend. It wasn't hard to find them. The car was parked by the side of the road. They broke apart and stared at me. I don't remember much of what happened after that. After I calmed down a little, my supervisor let me take the rest of the day off. One of the rangers must have seen my response because he came over and asked me what had happened. I thought about that for a second and then I asked, "Do you know what it is?" "Well, I never saw that couple again, nor did I ever go back to that cabin. Whatever it was, it must have been really scary. I'm still traumatized just thinking about it."